So I knew what Verzenio was. I've seen the commercials.
I mean, there's so many commercials.
There's so many commercials.
Like, calm the fuck down. I know that you have so much fucking marketing budget for this drug.
Hulu is nuts. It's every cancer drug for breast cancer.
Yeah, it is. Calm down.
And you want to know what pisses me off too? There's not one single young person in those damn commercials.
No.
Where are the people under 40? Hey everyone, it's Shauna. Before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you that this season we're putting out special episodes during October featuring voice memos from you, the audience. For the second special episode, we want to hear, what advice would you give to individuals or organizations who are considering supporting breast cancer awareness and research efforts through donations and other means? Leave us a message by following the link in the show notes and hitting start recording. We can't wait to hear from you. Hey everyone, welcome to season 3. This is Shauna.
And this is Rosalina, and we're your hosts for Too Young for This Shit podcast. This podcast is not just about boobs, but our journey with cancer. We are young millennials, open about giving you a raw and unfiltered look into our lives. We are in no way medical professionals, nor are we offering medical advice. Any medical references are cited directly from public websites or from our personal diagnosis. Some topics and stories may be triggering to those who are fighting, have fought, or have loved someone with cancer. Hi everyone, this is Rosalina.
And this is Shauna. Welcome back to the Too Young for This Shit podcast.
In season 2, we talked about our journey with hormone therapy, but here we are again because hormone therapy is just a long way to go. We talked about chemotherapy and radiation and how that's a sprint, but in reality, hormone therapy is a marathon. So Shauna, how's the marathon going for you?
The marathon essentially has just kind of restarted for me, but it's going well. I have to say, compared to my last experience with my last oncologist, it's kind of night and day for me. How are you doing?
It is a journey for me. There's just ups and downs. I think when you're on this drug, you're trying to do as much as you can to make sure that you're feeling fine during your day-to-day and trying to reduce the side effects from the drug. So I'll dive into my journey now. And if you listen to season 2, you'll know that I'm currently on anastrozole in combination with the Lupron shots. So I've been taking the anastrozole since December of 2021, and I've been getting the Lupron shots since I started chemotherapy. So that was May of 2021. With the side effects, I think in the beginning, I was definitely dealing with a lot of joint pain, and I've been dealing with that from December of 2021 until July. Currently, right now, I feel fantastic in terms of not feeling old. Like my body feels somewhat young. And the reason for that is because I joined a clinical trial that's exercise-based. We are having an episode later in season 3 talking about the clinical trials that Shauna and I are in. So we'll talk more in detail about my exercise portion, and then she'll talk more about the clinical trials that she's been as well. And I was talking to my oncologist yesterday, and I was asking her, I haven't had joint pain since the clinical trial. Do you know why that happens? And she couldn't tell me the answer, but basically she was just saying that we know that exercise does help, but we don't know really why you're not having this pain anymore. I mean, in general, it's a good thing that I'm not feeling that, because I think that if I still had that joint pain, I'm not sure if I would stay on this drug as long as I did, because it's, Shauna, with the Lupron shots,
it's debilitating.
Yeah, it's hard to walk. You're aching so much. I mean, when I woke up, my right hand for some reason would just ache so much. My knees just gave up on me so easily.
They would buckle, right?
Exactly. Yes. And the other side effects that I'm currently facing that are ups and downs are insomnia. and the hot flashes. And I think those two are combined for me because it's hard for me to go to sleep when I'm hot and cold all the time. And one of the things I recently purchased was this cooling comforter called Rest. I think they're called Rest Duvet. It's like an online company that I saw a Facebook ad. And I'm like, let me see what this is about. And essentially, the fabric is super silky and smooth. It's like cool to the touch. And since I've got back from New Jersey, I was at the Camp Breasty event, like speaking at a panel. I just came back, and a few days ago, since I've gotten that duvet, I've been sleeping like a baby, and it's fantastic. I am not on and off trying to take the comforter off or putting it back on. And it's just amazing that it's just so cool and cold. So I will report back with the next, I don't know, 30 days or a year just to see like how it really is. But so far, it's been amazing. It's nice knowing that I could find something that is doable and I'm able to change the habit of me not being able to sleep and me having hot flashes at night because the comforter that I currently using is not working for me. I think that is something that I'm really excited that I found.
I have one.
The Rest?
No, not the brand that you have, but I have like a cooling comforter. I think a lot of people, especially people who have duvets, they have like goose down duvets, right? So they're like
Yes.
so warm and
They're so warm.
they're so warm. And I like the look of a duvet. I have a duvet and I was like, there's no way I can live like this. I run hot normally, even like without the hormone therapy. So I was like, we got to figure something out. IKEA actually has a cooling duvet insert.
I did not know that.
It really is kind of a game changer. But I'm also somebody I think that but even before cancer, probably could have just slept with a top sheet and been fine. Even in like the dead of winter.
Same.
I don't know. I've run so hot.
The other thing that I've had issues with is brain fog and fatigue. And that is up and down. I'm not sure really the reasons why I have those, and I'm not sure when it happens. I just know that I wake up one day and I'm like, I don't feel well. Mentally, I'm not here. And with those days that I am feeling that way, I try to give myself as much grace as possible because I am on this drug. I'm going to be on this drug for now 4 years. I've just completed 1 year, but 4 years. It's something that it's my life, and it's something that I've chosen to take, and I'm going to keep taking it. And whenever I feel fucking shitty, I'm going to give myself that time and that space to just rest as much as possible.
So I think about this actually kind of constantly. Obviously, brain fog is a side effect of the hormone therapy. Do you also think it's just a lasting effect from chemo? Like we always hear like obviously like chemo brain, and that has carried on with me through treatment, after treatment, and then after me even stopping hormone therapy. I felt the brain fog even before starting. So do you feel like this is a side effect from the hormone therapy, or do you think it's a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. At first, I didn't want to think that it could be chemotherapy because I am the person that just wants to move on. I don't believe everything that I read online or what people say. And so sometimes I need to experience it on my own. I've heard of chemo brain before, and in the beginning I was like, I don't think this is going to happen to me, and then experience it myself. Now I'm like, okay, no, definitely this is chemo brain. So I think it's a combination of both. Now that I'm like deep into my journey, I'm like, yeah, I sometimes can't say a complete sentence, or I forget words, or I need someone to help me with what word I'm trying to say. The other thing I wanted to talk about was in the beginning when I've been taking the drug, I been experiencing UTIs. I don't know why, and it is very like random. I don't get them anymore. Something that like when I always go to see my oncologist, I like forget to ask her, but I don't know, when it happens, I just pop one of those like pills. I think it's like the cherry one.
Where you pee like bright orange.
Yes, exactly.
The cranberry pills.
Yes, exactly. Please ask your doctor before you take those. I just need to say that, but I have taken that and they just go away. The last thing I want to mention is I do see my oncologist every 3 months, and that's just to check on how I'm doing and to get any updates on anything with clinical trials or any new medications that are coming out. We do a full blood panel. We also do the Signatera test, making sure that there's no cancer in my body. And then I also do the Lupron shots every 3 months. So basically, I'm going to see her for the rest of my life until I'm finished with this hormone therapy. But just to wrap my section up, I'm doing okay. There are days that I'm not, and that's just how this journey is. So, Shauna, give it away. What are you up to? I know in season 2, you decided not to do hormone therapy, but things have changed. So, can you give us the rundown?
Things have changed. If you listen to season 2, I really, really struggled on the Lupron shots. I could not walk. I was miserable. My mental state was in the negatives. I think that if I had stayed on that, it would have been very, very detrimental for my health. I don't want to say I would self-harm or anything like that, but I don't think I could have continued living that as any longer than I already did. In January of 2022, went in guns blazing, being like, done with this. I'm not taking this anymore. And my original oncologist at NYU was supportive of me stopping because my quality of life was not well. I wanted this out of my system. I wanted to like detox this medicine out of my body. I wanted to actually get my period. I was like, I need this out of me. And in my head, getting my cycle back meant that the hormone suppression was out of my body. So I stopped in January was my last shot. And middle of May, I had my first period again. And it was almost basically a year to the day from my last period before I started chemotherapy, which was kind of ironic. But honestly, this sounds crazy, but it like weirdly felt like good to bleed. It felt good to have my hormones back. I started to feel better. I was able to walk. I was able to start feeling joy again because for almost 6 months after completing treatment, I could not find joy in anything. Things that I even loved pre-cancer. There was just, I don't know if that was mental or if this was like the meds mentally messing with me. Nothing I did made me feel good. Nothing I did made me feel happy. And it was like a really, really sad place to be after going through treatment, completing treatment to continue life. So getting my first period was like, I felt good about it. I wasn't even scared about it. I think in the back of my head, hormones coming back did make me a little nervous, but I think I just wanted quality of life so badly that I was okay with it. And I continued like regular periods after that. Monthly, everything was fine. I was feeling better. And every month, I felt better and better and better. My oncologist was really pushing tamoxifen, like, okay, let's get you on tamoxifen. And I was so traumatized from the Lupron shots that I was like, I don't even know if I ever want to be on hormone therapy again. I don't know if I could live like this again. And when you go from feeling so good to being like, okay, I could start this drug and have all these potential side effects, right? I was going to the tamoxifen support groups. And again, support groups are such a blessing and a curse, right? We go to them for information. We go to them for like hope. We go for them to get a good idea of what's going to happen. But 9 times out of 10, like most people are going to tell their negative experiences before they're going to go into a support group and tell them all the positive things that they're feeling, right?
Yep.
So it's hard to make choices as far as to start like a new med. I wanted to go for all the information. I wanted like a well-rounded negatives, positives, and I didn't really get that in the tamoxifen support group. So I think that was another reason that I delayed it for as long as I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you seen any positives of people saying, Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for this drug. You just don't see those posts.
You don't see them, but you will see them in such, it's almost like a toxic positivity way, right? If somebody is venting about their side effects and then somebody jumps in and is, this drug's keeping us alive, so, let's be grateful. And it almost comes off like in that sense of,
I see.
I feel like that's the only time you get it. And then it's more annoying, right? Because you're just like, fuck off. That's how I feel when those people just jump in with that. I'm like, okay, yes, we all are grateful to be alive. We're all grateful for medicine and science, but like, fuck off.
That's hilarious.
That's how I really like. That's why I've muted a majority of the support groups recently, because I just can't. So that was the reason I think I delayed tamoxifen for so long. And I think too, at that point of me starting to feel good, and I was going to see my oncologist and nothing was really happening because I was not willing to start it. I really was. I'm absolutely not doing this right now. I just felt like I had outgrown my oncologist. So again, like I said in the last episode, I ended up finally seeing a new oncologist in December of 2022. And I went in there open to hearing what she was going to say. And again, Sloan is the best cancer center for breast cancer
Yes, number one
in America. So I went
Yeah.
in really open-minded. And I think because I was in such a good place, I was willing to hear her out. And I went into that appointment and she read my health like records from like front to back. She knew everything when I walked in, kind of exactly how it was at NYU when I had first gone for a consultation there. She just knew what was going on, and I was like stunned by it. She just like went over everything with me and basically had said, I am really highly suggesting hormone therapy. And I knew it was coming because I feel like that's what most oncologists are going to do. So I knew it was coming, and I didn't get upset, and I listened. And she asked me why I didn't want to start, and I said, I'm just really traumatized. And she said, if you're saying to me that you're like willing to try all this stuff, why don't we just start with tamoxifen? Like, just start it, see how you feel. We'll take it day by day. Okay, I think I'm in a good place where I can start this. And it was weird. I feel like my old oncologist could not convince me to do it. And then I walk in and I meet this woman day one, and I left being like, all right, let's do it. And it's funny, I didn't go back to the support group. I was just like, let me go into this being open-minded, and I don't want things in my head. Almost that what is that called? Like a placebo, right? Where it's like it's all in your head. I didn't want to like start having symptoms and overthinking it.
Yeah, I feel so bad because now knowing what you went through, I remember seeing a post in one of the support groups, and it was this person that just basically talked about her experience with the tamoxifen and how bad it just made her feel. And I just remembered that that was one of the drugs that you potentially might be on. And then I sent it to you because I think for me, it was just coming out of place of, I want you to be able to see this for yourself because of what I knew, what you went through with the other drugs. But now hearing what you went through and what you didn't want, I feel so bad now. Just like I shouldn't have never sent that to you.
I also think you know me well enough now, Rosalina, that you also know that I don't like surprises. I like a heads up.
Right.
I like a warning. I was the one in all those support groups from day one. So
yeah,
don't feel bad. Like I'm grateful for everything that I read.
Right.
No, don't ever feel bad. I like the support. Keep sending me shit. And so yeah, I like filled the prescription that day and like took it that night, same night I saw her. And I was just kind of like, all right, we're doing this, bottoms up. Great. So another thing during that appointment that we talked about, well, I came in saying that I really wanted the Signatera test. I wanted, if this is coming back, I want to know before it happens, right? Not saying that I can prevent it, but if I can mentally get myself there to where I know I'm going to have another fight or have more treatment or anything, I am a better person prepared than I am unprepared. My new oncologist was very open to giving me this test. But she also said, I don't like going looking for problems. But if you want it, I will write it for you. We'll contact NYU, get your tumor for this. And she just heard me, which was after like a year of being with my old oncologist. And not feeling heard and not feeling that type of support, I was just like, I want this test. And she said, okay. And it was like, all right. I felt like I was getting somewhere. And it made me trust her even more, truly. It did. We're still like trying to work through insurance right now and also getting my tumor from NYU. And it's like a process, but it is a process that's it's running the course now. And I feel really like confident that I'll be getting that probably in 2 weeks when I see my oncologist, the end of June. So that's really exciting. Another thing that we spoke about in my first appointment with my oncologist was starting Verzenio. And my original oncologist wanted me to start Verzenio after I was able to start the AIs after treatment. But because I had such a bad time on the Lupron shots, I never even got to the aromatase inhibitors. I didn't even get that far. So Verzenio was just never discussed after because I had stopped all hormone therapy. So I knew what Verzenio was. I've seen the commercials.
I mean, there's so many commercials.
So many commercials.
Like, calm the fuck down. I know that you have so much fucking marketing budget for this
Hulu is nuts.
drug.
It's every cancer drug for breast cancer.
Yeah, it is. Calm down.
And you want to know what pisses me off too? There's not one single young person in those damn commercials.
No.
Where are the people under 40? I actually said that. So I do, I'm a part of Rare Patient Voice, it's called.
Yes.
So it's like surveys and different clinical trial stuff we'll get into. I'll talk more about Rare Patient Voice on our clinical trial episode. But I did a survey on Verzenio. I had to watch the commercial and it was paid. I got paid like $60 for like a 15-minute survey. And that was one of the things. What could we do better? I'm like, get younger people on this commercial. Have us be able to relate to this. So I did know like quite a bit about Verzenio before I ever started it. And I started tamoxifen first because the Verzenio it was a mail order through my insurance. So it was going to take some time. And I think she wanted me to like see how I was going to do on the tamoxifen before I like just jumped into taking 2 drugs. And normally tamoxifen is with ovarian suppression and the aromatase inhibitor. There are a lot of people in the support groups that are on tamoxifen and Verzenio, but that's not the normal cocktail. But my oncologist was like very gung-ho of being like, let's do it. Let's be the data. And that's my mindset on doing this. So I was like, let's do it. I did join that support group because I do follow a couple of breast cancer survivors that are on it on social media, very vocal about their symptoms on Verzenio. I need to know how bad these symptoms are going to be and how this is going to affect my life and my job. I did join the Verzenio support group.
Yep, I did too.
You did too, right?
Yes.
And so I knew all of the symptoms and I was, again, I don't know. I think I just had like a boost of confidence from my new oncologist that I was like, I'm handling tamoxifen well. So far, so good. Let's try it. Worst comes to worst, I lower the dosage. Worst comes to worst, I stop it. I've stopped medications before. I think I will always choose quality over quantity in my survivorship.
How long was it when you've taken the tamoxifen that you started the Verzenio?
I would say it was about 3 weeks.
Oh, wow, that's fast.
It was fast. I started 3 weeks after I started tamoxifen. Through my insurance, that is a mail order prescription, the Verzenio. I had to go through a pharmacy called Accredo to get this insurance. So setting it up was like a little bit annoying. I had to give all of my health insurance information, had to figure out what was covered. It is a very expensive drug. Even with insurance, out of pocket, it was going to cost me like $2,400 a month. It was obscene. And I remember being like, with health insurance, my health insurance is expensive. I pay $700 a month for that. And then all the copays and everything else. I can't afford a $2,400 medication. And Accredo Pharmacy had set me up with a Verzenio savings plan. So Verzenio ended up like covering the full cost through this like copay assistance program. So my insurance covers one portion, this Verzenio Care copay support program covers the other. So I don't pay anything out of pocket.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
Definitely. I know that there's like Lily Cares is like another copay assistant program that gets a lot of people covered, which is great. And Accredo was amazing with navigating that for me, which was really nice. But it was like a little bit of a process. And then I had to wait for it to get mailed to my apartment. But every month it comes and it's like they call me to refill it and it comes within 2 days. I'm never out. They always do it like before I'm out of my medication. So it's been like great. No issues. They're annoying with the phone calls, but Accredo's been great. And as far as the Verzenio, so I did start like 3 weeks after. And then the first week of January, I ended up with COVID, and I called my oncologist because Verzenio lowers your blood counts. You're technically immune compromised on Verzenio. So I like immediately call my oncologist. I'm like, I've recently started this. Now I have COVID. And she was like, stop it immediately. Wait a week, restart it. It's annoying to start a medication, start all the symptoms, and then have to stop and then restart, obviously, and start all the symptoms all over again. But I obviously did not want COVID any worse than I had already had it. And I was okay with stopping. I would say about the second or third week of January 2023 is when I've been now consistently taking Verzenio every day. The symptoms have actually not been as horrific as I've heard in the support groups. One of the biggest symptoms is like major diarrhea, like bad. And you read in those support groups, people are literally shitting their pants in public, cannot
Yes.
have like no control over their bowels. It is aggressive. And like people like
Mm-hmm.
are losing weight. They're really dehydrated because they're just like can't stop going to the bathroom. And I mean, I did have like an upset stomach, I think, for 2 weeks. I work in New York City. That was like a major thing for me is there's not really a ton of public bathrooms. If I'm walking and then I have a kid and then I have a kid in a stroller, it's like, what am I supposed to do? So that was a big thing for me to be like, if I can't tolerate this, I'm not taking it. And it was fine. Like a couple, like I said, upset stomach, but nothing major. And I actually did lose some weight being on that medication, but it wasn't because of my upset stomach. I think it was just like I was a lot more active. I was like still living my life. And it was also like weight that I had from treatment that I needed to lose anyways. I actually felt really, really good, especially like the beginning of starting Verzenio. I know that that is not the case for a lot of people. So when you get your first box of Verzenio, it comes with 2 packs of Imodium, essentially. Like it's like anti-diarrhea medicine that it comes with. It doesn't come with every box that you get. It's just like your little starter kit. So in the beginning, I definitely took the anti-diarrhea medicine because you remember like when you were doing chemo and like the anti-nausea meds, like just staying ahead of the anti-nausea meds so like you never
Yes.
had it. So in the beginning, that
Exactly.
was kind of me. And I was like taking it kind of for no reason, but I think I also just because I was scared. The longer I was on it and then like learning how my body was handling the Verzenio, like I don't take it preventatively anymore. I don't really have like the major side effects that I think a lot of other people do. My oncologist started me on 150 milligrams of Verzenio. So from day one, I have been on the highest dosage there is. For those that are struggling to tolerate the side effects, you can talk to your doctors and ask them to lower your dosage. The dosage comes in 100 milligrams, 50 milligrams, and then the highest is 150. Results from the Monarch trial showed that a lower dose of Verzenio offered the same reduction in recurrence risk. If you want to know more about that trial, the link will be in our show notes. I'm actually doing really well on both medications, the tamoxifen too. I don't have the joint pain that I did on the Lupron at all. I actually feel normal. My mental clarity, I feel really, really good. Probably the best that I have felt since being diagnosed with cancer. I do have brain fog. I do have trouble sleeping. I have trouble like staying asleep. I'm very like restless at night, but it's all like manageable. It's totally different than the ovarian suppression for me, where that I couldn't handle it anymore.
Right. So with the Verzenio, you would say, from what people have mentioned in the support group, your experience with it is completely different. Would you say that?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also think it was probably because I expected the worst. I'm
Yes.
always that person that expects the worst. I'm like always waiting for the shoe to drop. So the fact that it didn't happen was like, okay, this isn't that bad. I know that you, with your oncologist, had spoken about it. And what were your reservations on not taking it?
In the beginning, when we talked about the aromatase inhibitor, she also mentioned about this new CDK4/6 inhibitor drug that was FDA approved for early stage cancer. And at the time, I was already scared of taking the aromatase inhibitor that I felt at the time it just didn't make sense for me to rush into things. For you, Shauna, you want to be the guinea pig. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I like to sit back and see how people are going through the drug. So that's why I joined the Verzenio support group to see how are people reacting to this drug? In the beginning, I haven't seen that many posts. So that's why, one, I was like, okay, there's no rush for me to go into this drug. Two, I'm like, I don't want to be immunocompromised. That's scary to me. I was during chemotherapy and like I just want to live my life. I don't want to have to be careful when I'm out in public, and I'm just honestly was just afraid of getting sick. And that was also the time where I wanted to go back into dance. And when you're in dance class, you're in a room filled with sweaty ass people. I wanted to avoid that in the beginning. And I also wanted to see the other drugs that are coming out. And I wanted to see the comparison between Verzenio and this other drug. So I saw in the news from the American Society of Clinical Oncology annual meeting, which is a conference every year with all the oncologists, I guess they come together and talk about the new studies that are coming out. And I've spoken to my oncologist 2 days ago about this, and there's a new CDK4/6 inhibitor drug. One of the things that I've spoken to my oncologist about is with this new drug, which is I think is called Kisqali, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She mentioned that you don't have like the diarrhea like you do with the Verzenio. And I'm like, okay, great, because I don't want to deal with that. The other thing that she mentioned, which I was concerned about, was like the white blood cell counts, because when you're on the Verzenio, that lowers it. But with this new drug, she says that she didn't really see that much of a drop compared to the Verzenio. So I thought that was also a positive. The trial is still going on, so it's not FDA approved yet, but I'm really excited about this because I wanted to have like another option. And I feel lucky to be in the position to have the option to choose. And it also seems like my oncologist is also leaning towards this option as well. And so right now I'm just in like the waiting game and trying to see, well, one, like how much does this drug cost? Because with the Verzenio, it's pretty expensive. And I am nervous if I do go onto this drug, how my body is going to be, along with the Lupron shots and the aromatase inhibitor that I'm currently taking. I just wanted to mention that because I mean, I'm so happy for you, Shauna, that like the Verzenio is doing better than what you've expected. It just didn't feel right to be on the drug at the time. And I still have my reservations with the drug.
And that's okay, right? Like everyone's reservations, I think, process. When you think about it, like you have two levels of protection right now. You have the ovarian suppression, you have the AI, right? Like I
Yeah.
was only starting tamoxifen. So when she mentioned that, for me, it was like an extra level of protection that I was willing to at least give it a shot,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
was like, I was actually shocked that I was even as open to it as I was, to be honest. I'm still
Mm,
shocked by that. But again, like, because I think that you waiting and just seeing what else is out there is very smart. It's not like a risky thing or anything like that. Like you're doing what you should be doing, and doing what you're comfortable with is also part of, right, navigating your health.
yep.
Going outside of your comfort zone isn't going to do, like, I didn't go outside of my comfort zone after stopping the Lupron shot, and I ended up finding my way back to starting, but I could not do that. That had to be like a process that was all on my own.
Yeah. I think just our journeys with hormone therapy, I think both you and I mean, we had like a different path, but for you in the beginning, you said no, like you put your foot down and you were like, no, this is not going to work for me. And you had to go on your own to make sure that, okay, I need to do the detox first. and I need to kind of get my life back together before I get onto these other drugs that I would need to be on. And then for me, I said no to the Verzenio because I just didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't feel right to do that. And I think at the end of the day, for anyone listening, you have the right to say no. You're going to be the person that's going to be taking this drug for 5+ years.
5 to 10.
Yes, 5 to 10 years. With the Verzenio is like 2 years, and then with this other drug that I just mentioned is like 3 years. But yeah, I mean it's long time to be on this drug. So you do have the right to say no. And if the oncologist pushes you, you have the right to just leave the room. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you don't have to, if it doesn't feel right to you, it just doesn't feel right.
Right. And you can fire your oncologist. I did it. I broke up with my oncologist.
And you don't need to apologize. You don't need to have an explanation. You could just literally not book them again.
Yeah.
But just see another doctor.
Go see another doctor, get other opinions, but also listening to your body. You have to live in that body.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're sitting there and you're like, this is me, right? It's just like, maybe this is me. Maybe she's just telling me something that I don't want to hear. But like going to see my new oncologist, I didn't feel like I was the problem. And making the choice to even go to like a totally different hospital. I went to a totally different like healthcare system. So I think because these symptoms are so manageable, I'm not struggling like I did on the ovarian suppression. It has been very affirming for me that I made the right choice in my medical care. So another side effect of the tamoxifen and Verzenio actually is hair loss. And that to me was I was really worried because I cold capped, you cold capped. You remember what it's like to have clumps of hair coming out of your head in the shower.
Very traumatic.
It's so traumatic. So I have had some hair loss. I don't want to say it's like significant. I think I had probably like 2 weeks of some hair shedding, which was, to me, it was like a major PTSD response because I had gone through that obviously during chemo and then cold capping and all that stuff. My hair is at such a nice stage of growth that I did not want to restart all the hair growth because that itself is an entire journey. But it has like significantly died down. I've had no more shedding, just other than like normal, what we shed normally as humans. But it's manageable. I don't have bald spots. It's not like thinning. It's not like you can see my scalp. So that was one of the side effects that I was nervous about. It kind of happened, but it has died down. I think it was probably more COVID related than anything else. Another symptom that I have had is, so I, pre-cancer, pre-everything, am a person that just does not pee like a normal person. I pee a couple times a day. I find it like annoying when people have to pee 1,000 times a day. Now I'm that person that has to pee 1,000 times a day. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just from maybe being in like medical menopause and just like vaginal dryness or whatever is going on, but I am peeing like a lot more than I ever have in my life. I think I had like some brain fog, but again, I think I had that even off of the ovarian suppression. Like once I like kind of detoxed from it, I realized how much brain fog I had. And I do, maybe it is chemo brain. It's like just the effects of treatment. I think just also life right now in general is just busy. And I think it's easy just to kind of like, what the fuck's happening, and just forget what's going on. But again, another manageable symptom. And kind of what you said too, Rosalina, on the days that I am feeling shitty, I just let myself rest. I'm listening to my body more now, I think, than I ever have,
Yeah.
ever had
Same.
before. If I'm tired, I don't feel this need to just keep going and keep pushing anymore. I'm okay with resting. I'm okay with taking it easy. I'm okay with just coasting.
I think society pressures us to always have to do something. If we're sitting down, if we're being quote unquote lazy, it's seen as not a good thing.
It's not productive.
Yeah, it's not productive.
It's lazy. Yeah.
It is productive. I'm fucking taking care of myself. That's what it is.
I also think like our society, we just don't know how to be still. That takes practice.
It really does, because I can't fucking stay still. I always have to do something.
I'm the same way. And then it's like I guilt myself. I'm the one that's like, I should be doing something. And it's like, I don't have to do anything. It's the weekend. I'm off work. I've gotten all my stuff done. There's certain times where I'm like, I actually don't have to do anything. Stay the fuck home. But it is like an internal battle sometimes trying to not feel that
Yeah.
guilt and not push through all the time.
So, Shauna, question for you. If you could talk to the past version of you that was about to begin her hormone therapy journey, what would you say to her?
I think I would say you have to live in this body. And if your body is telling you that this isn't right and this quality of life isn't right, there is something else out there for you. So if you have to change it up, change it up in whatever sense that is. Doctors, medications, it is okay to say no. It is okay to say, I'm taking a break. It is okay. I think I guilted myself into being like, I need to be on this, right? It doesn't seem like a responsible decision to be off hormone therapy, especially after fighting for my life for a year. Essentially, it just didn't seem like a responsible thing. And I guilted myself. And I think I would have told myself, don't feel guilty. Other people are going to handle this better. Other people are not going to handle this as well. And everybody's different.
I think also, and I'm not sure if you read this in the support groups, I think you don't really hear those stories like what you just did, where you ended your medication, you took time for yourself, and then went back to what was right for you. And that is a type of story you don't really hear. I think we need to highlight your story, Shauna, because it's something where, you need to take time for yourself and what is right for you. And sometimes when you need that break, take that break. And the other thing is, and I know it was probably hard for you, but we are doing this podcast together and I was on the medication and quote unquote handling it well. And I think that also probably put pressure on you too, to kind of be like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I be like that too? And so I think there's also some pressure with that you probably have felt.
I feel like we all must do this because I definitely felt like I was comparing my journey to your journey. And I think in the support groups and social media, it's so easy to start comparing yourself to what other people are doing and
Yeah.
how they're living their life, especially in survivorship. And I think, yes, I did do that, but it wasn't like you putting pressure on me. I think it was just like myself. Like I was putting pressure on myself. And I feel like a lot of people, I think, are doing the same thing.
Yeah. I think for the listeners out there, we are just telling our stories. We just want to give an overview of what is working for us, what's not working for us, but you know your body best, you know yourself best. So always take the time to listen to others and see what other people are doing. But at the end of the day, you need to think of a plan of what is right for you, because the hormone therapy is no joke. And you have to be on these medications for years. I mean, we keep saying that, it's so true. It's like a marathon, essentially.
It is. It is not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon. And again, please talk to your oncologist and your medical providers about things that are working for you, things that are not working for you. What are other options? Like Rosalina said, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to revisit this if you are just not even ready to do it. I did that and now I am in a way better place than I was a year ago. And I think just listening to your body is key. Okay, Rosalina, if you could talk to the person you were before your hormone therapy journey, what would you say to her?
Yeah, I think it's funny because this has been such a journey for me. I think about the first time that I sat in the room with my first oncologist in Seattle when she talked about hormone therapy, and I did not want to hear it. I was so against it. It was something that I feel like I just had nightmares every time I sat down with an oncologist to talk about my quote unquote plan. I just had nightmares afterwards. So I think I've come a long way. And what I would tell myself is to be patient, to understand and educate yourself, and also take notes on what is working and what is not working for you. You have the right to say no to things. You have the right to say yes to things. But I guess for me, it's easy to say yes when a doctor is right in front of you and you want to take the advice that your doctor would say. But at the end of the day, once you leave that room, you need to come back to yourself and really ask yourself questions and do your research and making sure that what you're about to be on is right for you. I think it's so easy to be gullible and to just say yes to everything. But I am really proud of myself of saying no to Verzenio.
Do you think you would have told her to cool it on the support groups? Because I think I would have told like myself before this, like, take a step back.
The support groups, like you said, is a blessing and a curse. I was definitely deep dived in that support group at night, late at
2
night.
a.m.
Yep,
Prime
2
time,
a.m.,
man.
3 a.m. Yep, yep. And I'm like, no, this is not good for mental health.
This is why we don't
This
sleep.
is not good. Yeah. In addition to why I couldn't sleep. Yes, for sure. So cool it down on the support group. I think there's a time and place for it. For me, in the beginning of my diagnosis, well, not even the beginning because I left those groups, but I would say in the midst of my diagnosis, I think after I had my surgery, I went onto the support groups. And at that time, they were great for me. Now I think I'm a part of one.
Talk about like listening to your body. That was like something I was like, this is not good. It's not good for me. I got to take a break, and made that call, and it was
Changed your life.
It was life-changing. Blessing and a curse. Something can be so helpful, be so damaging at the same damn time. A very special thanks to our podcast producer, Bethany Allard, and our podcast editor, Ayla Anderson.
Thank you all for listening and supporting our podcast. Sharing our stories with you has been incredibly healing for both of us, and we hope it helps other women in their journeys through breast cancer.
Ladies, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and fellow breasties. Help us reach more women by subscribing and rating us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at TYFTS Podcast and email us at tyftspodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys, so shoot us a message. We will link any resources from the episode in our show notes.